Over 50 years, the work has ranged from shaping My Taxi before it became Grab to help Evanescence and Bill Please find their footing as emerging tech brands, guiding social enterprise like Sunport Solar, Average Academy, and Rocketman's Impact Ventures, brand built around impact as much as growth. Let's welcome him with a round of applause.
Hi everyone. Okay. The on belum? Test. Where's the on button? Are we good? Okay, good afternoon everyone. My name is Silmyi. I got the last session. Yay! Semua orang dah nak balik sebab jam. Macam mana? Okay, I'll try and make this as efficient as possible. I did have a question for Cik Izham. Dia dah lari ya? Sebab I mean everybody knew that Dato' Azizul just won another medal, right? Last weekend. So that actually made me scramble. I kena update my slides. Dia menang lagi satu. Because definitely we talk about sports, IP and branding, that intersection, you cannot run away from some of our legends. So I've got a few case studies today to share. Obviously I'm not an athlete, but I am a sports fan. Any other actual athletes here? Proper athletes, those who are running, cycling, whatever? Tak ada? Okay. At least pergi gym? Ada, okay. What about sports fans? Do we have any sports fans here? Alright, quite a number. Anybody in branding or marketing? No? Of course I got my team here. No? And what about anybody in IP law? Kenalah, ada ramai. Mana orang main IPO? Tak nak ngaku. Okay. Alright, so this intersection is very, very interesting. But if you can allow me to just introduce my company for very quickly, very shortly, then you can see the context of why I was actually very excited when my IPO called us to do this sharing session today. Okay. We are branding and marketing strategists. Of course, we do engagement and activation as well, but our forte is strategy. Our mission is to nurture legendary brands that change the world. And it's a big mission. And sometimes we hit it, sometimes we don't. But we have to keep trying. We do it through strategy, creativity, and engagement. We are industry agnostic. We've done a lot of technology brands, social enterprises, professional services. We do brand transformation. My taxi is up there, but other brands as well. We do marketing tech transformation, and we also do innovation adoption. So this is where we're hoping that we can collaborate with my IPO very soon. Nak letak my IPO logo pula kat situ. Okay? Right, this is me. Previous life, I think the MC mentioned I was a lawyer. Long time ago, I did my LLB in Nottingham. That's why I do have an appreciation for IP law. I have my lawyer brain very far behind me. Kadang-kadang I switch it on when I need to. But this is where branding and IP law is actually very, very important combination. Right? Hopefully we can go through it today. And I started the company in 2011. Alhamdulillah, 15 years celebrating this month. So when we talk about sports and IP in the digital marketplace, the fact is the marketplace is all digital anyway. So I'm not going to really go digital about it, but really cover how even conceptually we are not doing enough when it comes to sports, IP, and branding, and protection through IP and branding together. Okay? So, anybody vintage enough to remember this dude? Okay? Let's see whether the video will play or not.
Imagine if you accept the offer. This Malaysian player had been offered by Real Madrid, but he rejected. Mokhtar Dahari, Malaysian footballer who appeared in 70s era with Selangor and Malaysia national team. The story starts when Real Madrid impressed with Mokhtar Dahari after Malaysia won in friendly match against Arsenal and he scored 2 goals. Real Madrid offered him to join them, but he rejected because he deeply committed to his country and his love for Malaysian football. His loyalty to his homeland and his desire to help raise the profile of Malaysian football to such a true patriot and an icon for Malaysian football.
Okay. This is fair use. Kita guna clip daripada YouTube. So it's okay. Not going to get hit by a suit. But everybody vintage enough should remember Supermokh. Dia punya name. Okay. This is a little bit of a cautionary tale. Malaysians, we have our legends. kita boleh produce legendary sports icons, but we have not produced any legendary brands in sports. Okay, so this is where I think there is a big potential. All right, he was the world record goal scorer. I think Ronaldo passed him fairly recently. When did it say? 2004. He held the record until 2004 as the top men's goal scorer in international football. Okay, we never really took charge of this and took ownership of this narrative. All right, now he's number 3. Imagine, number 3 in history. This is such an asset that I think even our younger generation is not aware of. Okay. Next one, Nicol David. Again, this is legend, tahap legend. How much more legendary can you be? 8 world championships, 112 consecutive months as number 1. If you talk about any sport, that kind of dominance is super rare. All right, but now she's moved on to social philanthropy, which is good. But as a brand asset, as a brand IP, is really not going for anything spectacular. Is an NGO, essentially. Okay. What else do we have? Datuk Chong Wei, one of the earlier speakers, mentioned. Yes, we're all proud of him. Tapi dari segi post-retirement, how did we help him capitalize on his success, on his brand identity, brand fame, to develop and inspire the next generation of badminton players, not just in terms of skill, but also in terms of the support system. Okay, I hope the Institute Sukan Negara guys are still around. I'd love to have a chat with you. How do we really look into the branding aspect of our sports, our athletes? Okay, world number 1 for 349 weeks, no trademark, no academy, no licensing. And we just had a long session about the pocket Rocketman. Okay, this is live, this is still happening. He's still winning, he's still racing, he's still collecting medals. Okay, what are we doing to create that brand ecosystem to support our champions? Not just the technical ecosystem, but the branding and marketing, so that orang yang dah contribute so much of their life, even after they retire, they have something to go on. It's not just about now. I'm getting goosebumps remembering when he had that splinter in his leg. That kind of sacrifice, we have to do more in terms of, I'm not blaming the athletes because they are focused. They need to focus on their training, their competition. It's us, the people around them, that need to develop the ecosystem, the IP support, the branding support, so that we can develop more and more legendary, not just sportsmen, but brands as well, legendary sports brands. So the question is, these 4 people, our sporting legends, what is the commercial value of their names? Okay, I don't think we can say it's a lot. Okay, what they've built, Supermokh adalah nama jalan dekat area Puncak Alam tu kan, dalam Mokhtar Dahari, ada a few things here and there. The family is not benefiting from his image rights ke apa ke. Nicol David has the NGO, but it's not really what they call it, something that we've seen the global benchmarks they've done. Okay, di Chong Wei, same issue. Datuk Azizul, still an unfinished story. We can still do a lot more. He's got some endorsements, Volkswagen, CIMB and all that, but I think there's a lot more we can do. The Sadek brothers tried, ada kartun kan, but it's not sustainable. So when you talk about IP, there's a lot more to it. We talk about branding, there's so many opportunities. Okay, so like I said, the Sadek Strike cartoon series, the infrastructure to scale was not there. Okay, so how do other people have done it? Okay, I'm going to use some obvious examples sebab senang orang faham. Anybody seen this movie already? Air? No, not Michael. I'm talking about Michael. Which Michael are you talking about? Michael Jordan, right? Not Michael Jackson. Dekat wayang sekarang ni Michael Jackson. No, I'm not talking about Michael Jackson. Michael Jordan, the movie is called Air. Let's have a look at this clip.
A shoe is just a shoe until somebody steps into it, and it has meaning. The rest of us just want a chance to touch that greatness. And we need you in these shoes, not so you have meaning in your life, but so that we have meaning in ours. Everyone at this table will be forgotten as soon as our time here is up. Except for you. You're going to be remembered forever, because some things are eternal. You're Michael Jordan, and your story is going to make us want to fly.
Okay, so when did he retire? Of course, his last championship with Bulls was 1996. Okay, and he retired a few years after that. He went to a few teams. Now, he's still earning from Nike. Where's the pointer? This one. 20 over years, still earning 300 million a year from Nike. Okay? Because why? Masa dia rookie, he negotiated a percentage of royalty. When he was a rookie, that means dia fresh grad, kalau bahasa kita. But he had the confidence, his family, his mom especially had the confidence that my boy is going to be a legend and I'm going to demand for what I'm worth. Okay? And that is what is driving his legacy. We look at some other brands. Masa my masters, I did a case study on David Beckham. That was 20 years ago and the dude is still going. With the Netflix documentary lah, apalah. His brand is still going. He's retired more than 10 years already. But his brand is still going. Okay? So, image rights. Inter Miami, that deal was very clever. To come into the MLS, he negotiated that he will have rights to start a team after he retires. Again, knowing your worth, projecting your future. How do I commercialize when I retire? All these things is not impossible for us to think about. We have clever people in this country. But we're just missing this opportunity. Rafael Nadal, the Sports Academy. Okay, 94 million. Okay, Chong Wei. This one pun dia tak register trademark. Okay, I need to check with my IPO. Betul tak? My research says he hasn't registered that as a trademark. I don't want to go into whether the logo cantik ke tak cantik lah. That's subjective. Okay, but tak register trademark. Sayang. Nicol David pun sama. The NGO has nothing to do with sports. Nothing that is leveraging, sorry, am I blocking the view? That is not leveraging on her legendary contribution to the sports, to squash. Okay, she's doing a good thing, but I don't think it's a smart thing. Alright? So, what can we do with sports IP? Some opportunities lah. Okay? Okay, I'm not going to go deep into this. I think a lot of smart my IPO people are here. These are the obvious ones, right? Trademark, copyright, patent, image rights, geographical indication. But something that I think would be interesting is how do we develop certain IPs from our herbal, because sports has a lot of nutrition in it. So for example, Tongkat Ali for cyclists. I'm just throwing off some ideas. There's a lot of potential in owning Malaysian herbs as a geographical indicator. I hope some smart people will pick it up. Okay? But registration is just there to protect the mark. I think there were some questions about protection just now. But the brand strategy is what makes the mark worth protecting. Alright? Because the value is in the brand positioning, the brand image, the awareness, the stories that comes out of the brand, you know, all the legendary sporting achievements, that's all part of the brand value that you want to nurture and build from day one. Okay? So how can we lead the world? In sports, we know that we can't compete in everything. Nak main rugby memang popular, tapi budak-budak kita kecil, kena tibai je. What's the point? Cycling is different. Cycling is also about weight versus power. That trade-off. Kalau you besar memang you kuat, tapi you berat. So that's why our pocket rockets actually can do well. So this is where the Institut Sukan Negara guys might want to register trademark for the pocket rockets. It's a whole brand system that you need to develop and protect. Okay? Where can we go? Okay, sorry, I was just downstairs today. I asked Shamia to take a photo. So we have all these interesting innovations, but very few are branded. This one is Kalmira, one on Muslimah sports attire. But other than that, all this, the brands were not highlighted. So for branding strategists, that's a wasted opportunity. Okay, we have the know-how, we have the research, we have the innovation. We need to take the next step and look at protecting them as brands as well. Okay, because there is an additional layer of value when we treat them as an asset, as a brand asset. Okay, so what can we do? For example, this space is going to be big. If it's not big already lah, alright? Ladies, siapa yang pergi swimming pool? Ada kan? Mesti nak cari the Muslimah punya swimming attire tu. If you have a Malaysian brand, very R&D, ini teknologi daripada Azizulhasni punya suit, right? Then we can see, Malaysian technology in a Malaysian brand servicing a global market, because Muslimah apparel is a global market. The halal market is big. Alright, what else? Halal sports supplements. I mentioned this just now. Sorry. Our Tongkat Ali and so many more. Moringa. So many products that now are branded in a very generic way. It is not focused on sports performance. Okay. Another one, e-sports. Budak-budak kita gaming power lah pula. Kan? We need to be more conscious in developing that whole segment in terms of their branding potential. Don't waste the talent. Okay? You start talk. I got so many questions for you. Tak apa, later we talk. Okay, badminton. The dynasty is still going, right? We got the Sadek brothers, and then we had Chong Wei, and then Zija, and now Pearly and Thinaah. Okay? Other than Indonesia and China, which are huge countries, right? Indonesia 1.2 billion, Indonesia 200 million, China 1.2 billion, kita 30 million je. Tapi we are the third top badminton country in the world. Right? The what do you call it? The story and the narrative is so compelling. What are we doing from a branding point of view? Not enough. Squash, Nicol David. I mentioned it just now. Now we got a next generation coming, right? What's her name? She got a long name. Sorry, I can't remember. She just won the Grasshopper Cup. That one I ingat. Yes. Sorry, tak sempat masuk slide. She just won yesterday, I think. Okay? Grasshopper Cup. And then what about our cultural IP? I always see these clips on YouTube. Orang tengok orang main takraw, memang viral sebab dia orang macam Avengers. Lompat sana, pusing libas segala. That is gaining some global interest. What are we doing to capitalize all this cultural IP as brand assets? Alright, we got another clip. Okay, this is another one that gives me goosebumps. Badminton has always had that power to unite everybody in Malaysia. Masa tu nobody's racist. After the game finishes, suddenly you're back to being racist, right? Let's harness this. The story is compelling. The friendship, the fact that one is Indian, one is Chinese, and how they strive. the powerful smashes that they have. I think Pearly has a record for the most fastest smash in ladies badminton. So these things are all assets. And in terms of IP, nothing. You know, we're not strategizing, we're not building, we're not putting things in the right order to really make sure that all this is captured now and built up now. The value is strategically nurtured so that benda tu akan jadi legacy. Izam, you talk about legacy just now. I really love that word. Because branding is another form of protecting legacy. The brand name and the brand value of what we are working together, whether it's the achievement, whether it's the innovation, whether it's the human development, all that is legacy. And the brand is what brings it together in one simple image or icon. Orang senang nak ingat. Okay? Kalau tidak, kita nak cerita panjang. But when we have a brand, it's easy to tell that story. Okay? Kita tak cerita panjang pasal Michael Jordan, kita tunjuk je yang dia punya simbol tu. Orang dah tahu dah what we're talking about. Okay? Here, this is still an opportunity because they are still winning, they are still playing. Okay? Yeah, I just covered this. Alright, this is their coach. Cukup Ali Mutahok kat situ. Kan? He got the Malay coach with the Chinese and Indian players. Right? This is something that nobody in the world, this formula is ours. This brand value and brand narrative is exclusively ours. Orang lain tak ada. Okay? So one of the things that we went through in terms of thought process when it comes to developing these brand assets is that you always need to know your true north. Okay? Because knowing your goal, your objective, your mission grounds you, keeps you focused. Okay? In branding, that is also very important. We call it being a challenger brand. Maknanya you know you don't have enough resources. You know you're up against the big boys. The only way for you to succeed is you have your true north. For Muslims, we call it Qibla. Same concept. Wherever you are in the world, your Qibla doesn't change, right? You're all facing the same direction. Okay? Why does it matter? Because when you have something you believe in, it's worth protecting. Okay? When you have something that stands for something, beyond just winning, winning is an outcome. But what are you winning for? Who are you winning for? Okay? That matters a lot. Okay? And everything will follow through. So 4 questions. If you want to develop your own challenger brand, what do you stand for beyond just winning? Okay? In business is also, in a way, the analogy is, why are you doing this beyond just the money? Because the money is an outcome. Profit is an outcome. There must be a reason why you're doing it. Second, who or what are you fighting against? Okay? Is it Western domination? Or is it low quality copycats? What is it that you're fighting for and what you are fighting against? What will you do that no copycat ever would? That overcommitment signal is very important. So, macam mana pun your true north you will follow. Even if it means letting go of certain opportunities. Nampak macam opportunity, tapi sebenarnya distraction. Because you have a true north. And 4th, who is your most fanatical believers and are they organized? Okay? So just like how our football team have the ultras to support them. And then, because I can't remember anything else, Taylor Swift fans are called Swifties. Okay, what are our fans of the Pocket Rocketman? What are they called? Ada tak? What are they called? Team Azizul. That's a bit safe, bro. Okay, let's think of something. Right? So this developing your tribe, giving them a name is part of brand building. Okay, building the asset. Alright? So this is the video that I had to scramble last minute because baru 2 hari 2 days ago? 2 days ago baru dia menang. Okay, let's have a look. Give me goosebumps. Come on guys, round of applause. Dia masuk kat tengah tu yang tak tahan. That gave me goosebumps. Because throughout the race, I mean, you know the result already, and I'm trying to see, how did he win this? He was so far back from behind. I mean, I'm not going to go into the details lah. I'm not an expert on this. But this was just everything in 1 minute. But years of effort, Years of effort for this. Okay. So, the Pocket Rocketman. Like I said, the opportunity is still there. He's still racing, he's still winning. And I think it's part of a very supportive ecosystem that's also developing more champions as we speak. And what we like to see is how is the brand value and the brand strategy being optimized and being capitalized. Because there is a legacy that can continue even after he retires. And in fact, the impact can be even more after he retires. Just like Michael Jordan, just like David Beckham, just like Rafael Nadal. Okay? Benda tu bukan habis masa dia still racing. They will continue for 10, 20, 30 years after that. Okay? So in terms of life application, what's the true north is beyond winning. It's about fighting against doubt. It's about overcommitment. It's about community. Okay? Brand equity is here and also here. Okay? There must be emotion attached to a brand asset. People must love it or hate it. Cannot be in between. Kalau brand yang in between, maknanya kita panggil apa? Meh. Nobody cares. That was not a brand that matters. Right? Okay? So I hate bringing this up, but this is the reality. We masa tu kita just ambil itibar lah. The fact is those were different times. People are not aware of these things. Now we are. He died so young. Okay, I think he in his 30s, but he was so impactful, so legendary. But then unfortunately it was a tragic end, but also a sad end because the family pun lalas tak boleh nak benefit apa-apa from his name. Okay? So the reality, this is Mokhtar Dahari lah. Okay? It's not just a commercial failure, it's a failure of respect. So, let me see. Okay, this is for anybody who wants to have a look at it from a strategic lens. Okay, what can you do this week? Don't wait for semua legend dah retire. Okay, look at trademark, look at auditing existing assets, appoint an IP custodian, activate your brand protection. Okay, for athletes, register your name and nickname, not after retirement. Okay, this should be trademarked. Review image rights, build post-career brand during the career. Okay, negotiate from strength. For event organizers, own your content, videos, photos, publish a licensing policy. Kat Malaysia ni kita baik hati sangat. Tak apa, satu gambar je pun. Okay. Talking about World Cup, okay, build content for the world pays for. We are good at content consumption. We need to be stronger at content production and IP protection as well. Right? For my IPO, I mean, again, this is my research. Please correct me, am I wrong? The GI registration for Malaysian herbal sports ingredients. Is this something that anybody on your radar? Yes? No? Because I think there's a big potential for sports herbal supplements. Cik, you're in nutrition, right? If we can organize it, brand it, maknanya, because a friend of mine went to Middle East for Mihas. Oi, tu Arab dengan tongkat Ali punya suka. They're all looking for tongkat Ali. So there is an opportunity there. Okay, here you go, tongkat Ali to Awang, alright? Alright? Okay, generation upside, no other country can do this. Anything that is typically ours lah. And position Malaysia as a world authority when it comes to halal sports nutrition IP. I think that's a big opportunity for that. Alright? Again, no need to compete with the world for areas yang they are so far ahead. Let's look at, again, this is part of the challenger concept. Look at where the gaps are. That's where you compete. Look at where the big boys or the big countries are not looking. They're forgetting about it. It's not worth their time. Too small for them. That's where we go. Because no competition. Alright? In terms of our athletes, what happened with Jordan, he negotiated his royalty equity in 1984. That's when he already thought about it. Maybe he didn't even think about it. It was just something that happened. Okay, Mokhtar Dahari, nothing happened. We still haven't built the IP structure around his legacy. And Dato' Azizul, okay? The window is still open. Alright? Next generation, we have this coming. Okay? So Sanggari, Pearly, Thinaah, Lizija, still open. And I think the youth is still coming. I think we have a gentleman from KPM, right? Yes. How can the schools be part of the equation? How do the next generation be inspired by these brands? How are parents going to be convinced that sports is something that will take care of their kids? Not just when they are strong and healthy, but when they've retired. Kalau tak, semua jadi lawyer, semua jadi engineer. Sedangkan banyak sangat dah kot lawyer. Right? We need our next generation to know that a career in sports is not just 5 tahun atau 10 tahun masa dia orang aktif. It can actually be a legacy if they are strategic and if the ecosystem supports them in the right way. Okay? This is not one person effort. Everybody needs to contribute. Okay. So my IPO protects the mark. You or we need to build the brand that makes the mark worth protecting. Find our true north, file the trademark, everything else will follow. Okay? So get your challenger brand score now. Anybody interested can scan this QR code. We have a simple 10 question assessment, and you can see whether your organization or your own personal brand, is it a challenger brand or is it a meh brand? Thank you so much. Sorry for not completing 1 hour. Kita minta halal boleh ya?
Thank you, Mr. Silmyi, for sharing your valuable perspective on the time on it. So we open for a Q&A session. So is there any question?
Oh, I punya ada Q&A.
our-
Oh, for both. Okay, kan.
For second session.
I had a question for Izham actually. Can I ask? Basically, thanks for awesome presentation. But as an F1 fan, I followed it time Schumacher. After that, the appeal kind of lost me because it became, how do you call it? Dia dah tak ada drama. F1 after that. But now, you can see it's kind of coming back. And the big question when talking about the equivalence between F1 and cycling is that you need both. You need great bike and great cyclist. Sama macam F1. You need great car and you need great driver. So without one or the other, the potential will not be there. So how is the cycling team? Because you've got some new fresh faces coming in, and I'm really excited about that. But how do you create this systematically? Not just by chance. Oh, tiba-tiba ada somebody talented coming from another kampung. Random. How do we build this into a system? Because not just from the athletic point of view, but also from the brand point of view, we need that long-term view to be able to strategize accordingly.
Okay, I think the question more on development.
Yeah.
Okay. So since we started this program back in 2010 for Malaysia program, the track cycling is considered brand new for us. So we're not really dominant in track cycling, even road cycling. I think road cycling is far from the standard. So I think the initiative from the government, which is KBS and MSN, so they see the opportunity because Azizul and the rest of the team in the early generation create that feel good factor. So we can do this, we can win Olympic medal, we can beat world champion, things like that. So the young generation start to, I think if we ask me, masa saya sekolah, we just exposed to athletics, like bola, semua orang nak main bola sebab I think that's common sport in school. So the government initiative to do a development program dekat negeri. Tapi the main challenges that we want to continue this is because track cycling is specific development program. So we need facility to do that as well. So to expose them as early as bawah 15 tahun without any track specific punya facility is quite difficult. So we do smart things sikit lah. Bila kita studies pathway of most of the world champion lah, macam Hari Harta. Kalau kita tengok balik, kita tengok Azizul lah, dia punya first sport yang dia main adalah BMX. So same goes Hari Harta, BMX. So we see even Izzati BMX. So banyaklah Chris Hall BMX. So kita nak kena kata, oh kita tak perlu ada track, tapi kita start dengan BMX. So mungkin pembangunan tu masih, kalau nak jawab macam mana kita nak continue, is a big question for me to ask because ini adalah kerjasama berangkai lah. So it's come from sekolah. Dekat Malaysia, we lucky kalau ada badminton jadi club. Tapi for cycling, we don't have club. We rely on state to pick up for Supermokh, which is under age bawah 21 tahun. It's too late for development. Sebab untuk most of the big nation macam Australia, Great Britain, German, semua tu adalah inisiatif daripada club. Club lah, parents datang bayar 150 ringgit every month, and then they have a coach yang ajar untuk main basikal, just for fun. Nothing to do about competition, nothing to do about winning, just like riding the bike in safety and enjoy lah. So kalau nak tanya saya whether how far kita nak produce a next Azizulhasni Awang, we not far. Tapi we just make sure someone, mungkin saya after this retired, someone continue the process, learn and macam come out with a better version of macam mana kita nak buat ini, macam mana kita nak buat ini.
So we need BMX clubs at school.
Yeah.
Because 40 years ago, I had a BMX. Tak tahu pula boleh jadi champion racer kan?
Yeah, sebab BMX is all about pedaling. So the theory about cycling ni adalah pedaling. So itu je lah tips yang boleh bagi. You have to pedal in the small gears. Sebab Azizul tu special.
Thank you. Appreciate the answer.
Any other question? Yes. From my phone tak ada? Okay, ada.
Assalamualaikum. So question untuk ayah saya juga. For me, because when we started working with brands since 2011, memang we can see that there's a lot of support that the ecosystem of research and development can support to many things lah. And I'm very impressed by how much science that went behind the preparation for each of the competitions that you guys went into as a team. And it's amazing to see that you're even thinking about how to rope in the local innovators rather than rely on the foreign ones. So my question is on a bit kind of like the developmental question that Silmyi asked. But mine is more on what can we expect in terms of how else can the local R&D support the the upcoming plans, is ISN looking at bringing in more active support daripada our innovators?
I think this is one of examples, one of the R&D project. So tadi ada slide pasal nutritional supplementation, like our herb, our local fruit, local product. There is a few research well known jugalah yang found that it can help improve athlete performance. So itu salah satu. Banyak lagi sebenarnya yang boleh membantu atlet untuk meningkatkan prestasi, performance dia, directly, indirectly. So indirectly ni yang banyak sebenarnya. Directly macam cycling ni unique sebab you can measure things, you can see direct performance enhancement. Tapi ada juga yang support training adaptation. Contohnya macam tongkat ali. Memang research shows that if you consume a certain dosage, the right dosage of tongkat ali, it can maximize certain hormonal regulation that support training adaptation, strength, power dan sebagainya. So dari side ISN, we always welcome engagement local. Kita ada kita panggil engagement dengan local industry, startup company that we can help to partner with other industry that can answer our question. Macam kita kata kita nak our own supplement, protein supplementation for example lah, saya jangan balik nanti terus buat. Saya bagi protein supplementation daripada soya for example, daripada produk-produk lain, sebab animal based protein salah satu way forward juga orang kata. Sebab protein ada juga kat makanan kan. So ada juga kat tumbuh-tumbuhan. So they say that protein is way forward because they compare animal based product dengan plant based product, tak ada significant changes pun. Tak ada significant difference pun. Adalah teori saya. So technically kita boleh engage lah. Kita boleh jumpa multi, kita boleh jumpa local product sebab SME adalah platform for brand lah. Kalau saya bukan expert kat sini. Tapi saya boleh bantu dan kita ada science base to support on marketing. Biasanya produk ni datang daripada R&D on athlete. So kita sebenarnya ISN dah banyak engagement dengan free, dengan multi untuk hasilkan beberapa produk. Sebab nak penetrate market, there will be a different R&D juga kan. Kalau saya difahamkan, there will be like user, berapa price dan sebagainya mungkin.
No, but again, sorry to kind of jump in onto that one. That's a totally different strategy and ball game. Here is very niche, very focused. It's about sports. Then the brand strategy is totally different.
Yeah. So kena tengoklah sebab kita macam saya punya produk bukanlah macam the R&D of track cycling. Kita nak performance.
Yeah.
So we have to push to the limits lah on the cost.
Yeah.
Sebab kita nak that percentage, kita kena push. Tapi when it come to, ada juga orang cakap kenapa tak jual je kat orang lain kan. So kita nak protect our technology so that advantage to us. Tapi for local, mungkin the strategy will be different. Maksudnya ada satu company yang tengah engage dengan kami, which is a startup company, nama dia Bozeta. Kalau boleh tengok dekat Instagram, Bozeta is a local company yang willing to come in to produce a road bike yang milik oleh atlet ataupun siapa-siapa yang nak jadi recreational athlete. So Bozeta ni dia datang, dia kata dia nak guna this story a part of dia punya marketing strategy for dia punya road bike. So kita allow lah sebab it help to, sebab kita tak boleh nak jual 300,000, 400,000 dekat luar dan someone beli. Satu, technology wise. Kedua, tak ada market. Tak ada orang kayuh track bike dekat tepi-tepi jalan tu. Orang akan kayuh road bike. So we see road bike will be things yang boleh you explore dan invest lah as a company to sell it. Tapi using our successful story. Macam tadi lah bagi contoh, using Azizul as a brand ambassador. So things like that will help to promote a local product on athlete. Using athlete as a role model lah, or their story to win first Olympic gold medal untuk produce a good product would be another strategy. Ada banyak, saya rasa ramai expert kat sini boleh. Tapi dari segi side ISN, we always welcome for any brand, any startup company or any SME yang datang kata kita nak buat macam ni, and then we engage with the right people, and then on the same time we do some R&D to at least push the limit lah. Kita faham bila push terlalu kita kena ada cost a lot of money. So tapi kalau tengok benda tu meaningful to athlete performance, kita akan push lah. Macam contoh projek basikal lah. Kalau we see, kalau kita tak, sebab the other nation invest. So just imagine masa Olympic London 2012, kita nak pergi kat starting line up tu, semua orang pakai basikal custom made. Kita beli dekat online shopping, contohlah, marketing lah, yang bukan online lah, kita beli yang ada produce, kan? So psychologically kita dah disadvantage.
Dah kalah kan?
Dah kalah. Kita tengok, macam mana ni, kan? So benda-benda tu adalah perang di Olympic game lah. Dia memang it's a war lah, Olympic game for track cycling lah.
I nak suggest collab. Kalau jadi jangan lupakan we all
Boleh.
Kita buat BMX branded pocket rocket.
Boleh.
Untuk budak-budak pakai.
Itu salah satu
Inspire the next generation.
Ni ada idea dah. Macam itulah, sebab using names lah. Kalau teknologi is too advanced, and then accessibility, money, duit semua.
Sebab apa tu, R&D commercialization is actually quite a hot topic at the moment for the government, kan?
Yep.
Jadi macam kalau katakan you all nak the version for competition, tapi for the inventor, dia punya agenda pula is nak make sure that the technology is something that they're able to commercialize. So maknanya it can be a win-win situation.
Betul.
So right now, rather than one by one punya requirement, why not is something organized? Maknanya macam, let's say ISN were to drive the demand for, because you got your data that drives the things that you want, kan?
Yeah, betul.
And what if sit at the table and then all the sources of R&D can actually be given a chance to tell you,
Yep.
what they've got, and then it can be a two-way growth thing, kan?
So sebab for the last, I think 5 years, kita ada cawangan industri sukan, where they put a sport tech team untuk engage dengan local company, so that whatever IP ataupun research finding yang kita jumpa kat ISN, sebab saya lah technical, we do research and then we register, and then we once dia ada duration macam 2020 punya project, almost 8 years. So most of the data dah macam not absolute lah, bukan tak absolute, total absolute, some boleh, some tak. So kita boleh gunakan tu, okay, kita ada licensing untuk ni, you can use this to boost your product, to use this, to do that, things like that. So we have team for the last 5 years, they're looking very, macam work very hard lah with the, saya pun macam startup company under macam Mosti pun dia collaborate, because even local company pun need some funding kan, untuk do some part of R&D, small R&D to fine tune the project, the product. So ada boleh engage, diorang really open the door lah untuk membantu, and then put brand, local brand into a sport industry. Macam tadi pun dah ada idea dah tu. Nanti saya nak patternkan siap-siap lah.
Saya lupa we all
Sini ada question lagi? Ada. One.
Hi, Assalamualaikum, Silmyi. My name is Ahmad. My question is a two-part question. Sorry if this takes much of your time, but when we think about brands, for example, just now you gave the footballing example of David Beckham, Michael Air Jordan as they call it, and even CR7. Nowadays, not a lot of people know there was an actual Ronaldo before Cristiano Ronaldo, for example. So could it be that our athletes, our local athletes, maybe there's not much of a fair comparison, but could it be that our local athletes are not as commercially attractive per se? And one question on mine is that, how can we push that narrative, or how can we make our athletes more commercially attractive to ensure that their IP or their brand goes beyond their retirement? Thank you.
Okay. Where was the two part? It was basically one part lah. What was the second part?
Sorry, the first part being is, are our athletes not so commercially attractive? And then if so, how can we push that narrative, or how can we make our athletes more commercially attractive?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for the question. Definitely that's essentially the whole presentation was about that lah. Attractive is very subjective, right? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. What is a compelling story for one may not be a compelling story for another. But what we want to draw from the global lesson, even if they don't become Michael Jordan after David Beckham, that's global lah, that's elite. But at least we are going towards that. we follow the lessons that they have already laid out, that your brand can be viable as a commercial asset even after retirement. We basically need to be aware of that first. The understanding is still lacking. Jangan kata among the athletes, even as a region, we don't take care of our branding enough, whatever that product category. For the athletes pula, they are busy competing, so we need support system around them to help them and advise them, the right people to support them, so that whether or not they're commercially attractive, is all about whether you put the right assets in place, the right structures in place, and then after that, how do you feed the narrative? Because the sports narrative memang compelling, because it's real life. It's not K-pop or K-drama. These things actually happen. People win, people lose, people struggle. That's why sports is always popular, because the narrative is real. But how do you capture that narrative strategically? How do you capture that story in a way that becomes value and not hilang je, jadi story je? That's the part where the jump needs to happen. We need to put the structures in place, the support system in place, the people around them, the institutions around them need to be aware that we want to take care of our athletes, not just sekarang masa dia menang. Masa dia dah retire, kita lupakan dia. We don't want that narrative to happen or to continue to happen. We need to be more aware and more structured and more strategic that, okay, bila kita identify these potential legends even before they become legends, kita dah put things in place lah. The attractiveness comes when we are consistent. Just like any brand, if the story is out, the trademarks are out, the programs are out, it's consistent, it's reliable, you know the story is being written and told, rewritten and retold all the time, then the attraction will come, right? Just like how David Beckham is still getting Netflix documentary contracts. Bila dia ada something interesting to share, then the right platforms will pick up and cerita balik cerita dia, right? Kita tak sampai lagi that tahap where people outside of Malaysia, because kita kat Malaysia pun kita tak buat lagi. So we need to start putting in the structures. The being commercially attractive is an outcome. Just like when I said doing business, profit is an outcome, it's not the objective. But to become commercially attractive, you need to be strategic and you need to be disciplined and consistent. Because the talent will keep on coming. We have the talent. For such a small country, we keep producing the talent, but we don't know how to take care of them. That answer your question? Thank you.
Okay, with that, I think we close the Q&A session. So thank you to both our speakers. Alright. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we have now to come to the end of the session. Before we conclude for today's seminar, I would like to invite Yang Berusia